Hollywood loves a good war story, epic battles, heroic soldiers, and the thunder of tanks. These films sweep us into the chaos and drama of battle, making us feel as if we're right there on the front lines. The spectacle is unforgettable, and the machines of war, especially tanks, often steal the show. But what we see on screen is often a polished version of history, especially when it comes to the machines of war. Filmmakers craft scenes for maximum impact, sometimes sacrificing accuracy for excitement and visual flair. The tanks, planes, and ships are often stand-ins, chosen for convenience, not accuracy. The real vehicles from the era are rare, expensive, or simply unavailable, so filmmakers improvise with what they can find. Take the 1970 film Patton, for example, a classic that defined how many people imagine World War II's armoured battles. It brought World War II's armoured clashes to life, but the tanks weren't what they seemed. The vehicles thundering across the screen were not the same ones that rolled through North Africa in the 1940s. Authentic WW2 tanks were rare and unreliable by then, so filmmakers used what was available, modern military hardware. They modified these newer tanks to look the part, but sharp-eyed viewers can spot the differences. This choice created stunning visuals, but subtly rewrote how we picture these battles. The result is a version of history that's more cinematic than authentic, shaping our collective memory. Understanding this cinematic trick isn't about criticizing a classic. Instead, it's about appreciating the artistry while recognizing where fact and fiction diverge. It's about peeling back the layers to find the real history underneath. By looking beyond the movie magic, we can discover the true stories that inspired these films. The story of Patton's tanks is a gateway to the true story of tank warfare in North Africa, a story of survival, ingenuity, and the brutal reality of combat, far more complex than any movie can show. By exploring the facts, we gain a deeper respect for the real people and machines that shaped history. Director Franklin J. Schaffner faced a unique challenge while making Patton. He needed an entire army of tanks to convincingly recreate the epic World War II battles for the big screen. But by the late 1960s, authentic W2-era Sherman tanks were incredibly scarce, and those that remained were often unreliable or in poor condition, making them unsuitable for demanding film shoots. The solution came from an unexpected source: the Spanish Army, which generously lent the production its Cold War-era M47 and M48 Patton tanks, machines named after General Patton himself, though ironically he never commanded them in battle. This creative workaround solved the filmmakers' logistical nightmare, allowing them to stage massive, realistic tank battles on screen. But it also created a new problem, one of historical accuracy, as these tanks were never actually used during World War II. The M48 Patton was a world apart from the M4 Sherman, larger, more powerful, and visually much more imposing, with a distinctly modern silhouette. For movie audiences, these tanks looked convincing enough in their WW2 uniforms, but to military historians and veterans, they were clearly not the real thing. Still, the film's tank swap left a lasting mark on pop culture and the public imagination. Today, many people picture the M48, not the Sherman, when they think of the American tank of WW2, a testament to the film's influence. But in reality, the true WW2 tank crews fought in outmatched, vulnerable machines, relying on teamwork, tactics, and sheer courage, not technological superiority, to survive the war's fiercest battles. The true workhorse was the M4 Sherman, reliable, fast, and produced in huge numbers, but outgunned and out-armored by German tanks. The Sherman's strength was in numbers and mobility, not brute force. The M48 Patton used in the film was a Cold War tank, far more advanced than anything in World War II. Substituting it for a Sherman is like swapping a musket for an assault rifle in a Revolutionary War movie. Sherman crews survived by using speed, teamwork, and clever tactics. They flanked German tanks, worked in coordinated groups, and relied on constant vigilance. Patton's real genius was using what he had. turning the Sherman's limitations into strength, the real story is about outthinking the enemy, not just outgunning them. The filmmakers faced the same challenge with German tanks. Real Tigers were nearly extinct, so they disguised M47 Pattons as panzers with paint and insignia. On screen, it was Pattons versus Pattons, a practical solution but a historical illusion. The real Tiger was a fortress on tracks, heavily armored, armed with a deadly 88mm gun, and terrifying to face. But it was also slow, complex, and prone to breakdowns. The film's stand-ins erased these differences, making the battles look like duels between equals. In reality, Allied crews had to use teamwork and cunning to overcome superior German armor. The movie's tank swap turned a complex tactical struggle into a simple slugfest, missing the true nature of the Desert War. The story of the Sherman is a lesson in survival. Success wasn't about having the best tank. It was about knowing your limits and working as a team. Sherman crews couldn't rely on armor or firepower, so they used speed, numbers, and coordination. Adaptation was key. The battlefield changed constantly, and crews had to adjust tactics on the fly, using terrain, coordinating with infantry, and exploiting enemy mistakes. The human element, training, communication, and teamwork, was decisive. A well-trained Sherman crew could outfight a poorly trained Tiger crew. The real victory came from skill and cohesion, not just superior machines. That's the survival lesson history teaches, even if the movie only hints at it. Patton gave us a larger-than-life general, a symbol of bold leadership and relentless drive, but its tanks tell a subtler story, one of grit, ingenuity, and the realities of war. The film's use of post-war armor created a heroic image, larger than life and inspiring, but the real lesson is about facing tough odds with imperfect tools and never giving up, even when the situation seems impossible. Sherman crews won through strategy, careful planning, and a willingness to adapt on the fly, adaptation and teamwork that turned disadvantages into strengths. They knew their tanks' limits and used every advantage they had, always thinking ahead and working together. In survival, as in war, honest assessment and resourcefulness are everything, knowing what you have, what you lack, and how to bridge the gap. The tank swap in Patton is more than film trivia. It's a reminder that appearances can be deceiving. It's a parable about appearance versus reality and the importance of seeing things as they truly are. Real victory came from men who outthought and outlasted their opponents, who refused to be defined by their limitations, not from the best equipment. That's the enduring lesson. Success is not about having the perfect tools. Success is earned through truth, adaptation, and the courage to keep moving forward and making the most of what you have, no matter how little that may be. Lines 14.